Okay. What's your take on women's rights?
Okay, women's rights. In Gaza, the first and the main thing that we need before women's rights is human rights. Because we don't have even human rights in Gaza as the people there from the Israeli side. As for women's rights from the people inside Gaza themselves, there's some people who give the women their rights, like education, work, marriage, and inheritance, and so like that in life, to be free and choose her own way of life. There's other people, other families so restricted, and they kind of control and have the power on top of their girls or the women there in the family, as they choose how they go on with their lives in the education and the work, and even if she's allowed to go to work or not, and also with the marriage thing. So this is kind of people that who give the rights and people who don't, and this is just kind of depending on how they educated and understanding and open-minded people, and this is the way that go in Gaza. And
So there still is a potential for women to be oppressed within the family in Gaza.
yes, and I believe this is mainly because of poverty and the education level there between the families.
Okay.
And again, it's one of the main issues there, that the whole people there, men, children, and women needs their human rights and basic rights from as being human being living inside the strip from the Israeli side.
So when you say women can be oppressed in the home, what kind of oppression? What things are they restricted from?
Like for example, they can't go and continue their education if they want to after high school. They just give they just like get them to marry somebody. They don't want to marry him, or they don't choose that kind of marriage. Or if she continues the education and go for university, just this is it and no more. You can't like go for work or going out. If it's not from the family, it's gonna be sometimes from the husband. He's going to be the man and not getting her like to go out for work or the interact with the outside world. Kind of he feels in protection, but it's not. It's just kind of oppression. And I say this is the way that's going on with some families, not every family. Like for myself, I believe that I come from a very understanding family, which gave me the choice and the freedom and the will to choose what I want to study and for how long I want to go with master degree or PhD or whatever, and I choose my own life and career.
Okay. How many people do you know that are in that kind of position, would you say? I mean, on average, half of the women?
I can't like give a percentage, but I think it's more in the suburbs and the areas that there is no high education level of education between these families, and for the people who are so poor, so they even can't afford to give any kind of education for their children, or they can't have this kind of open mentality or open-minded mentality. All they like care of is just like getting money for their life, basic things, and they even get their children to get to work just to live.
Do you know of any women in this position?
I kind of knew some women like in this position, yeah, that they kind of sacrificed their life for the family, that they and they just obey their families, and they didn't have their own free will to say no.
And they're your age?
In my age and younger my age, like some girls, they get them married in the 11th grade or 7th grade, something like that. And again, I'm saying it's not all the same, but it's, yes, it happens.
Okay, okay. And how would you compare that? Well, I think it's kind of obvious, but how would you compare that to women in the U.S.?
Well, I believe even here in the U.S., there is also women have their rights and they have the freedom to do whatever they want, and at the same time there's a lot of domestic violence, and there's a lot of abuse, and there's a lot of people are not giving the women their rights, and that's why they keep calling for their rights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you met anybody in your environment here that it's been abused by any means?
Yes, we've been to one of the conferences like outside, about one of the ladies talking about her experience with addiction, and she go on with her past, which has lead us to find out that her addiction abuse started from the point that her dad was so over controlled them, she and her brother and sister in the family. So he's like kind of use them and not use them. He kind of treat them as objects, as things that he own, not as a human being and with feelings. And he's always seeing them inferior and they're not good enough for him. So she's kind of wanted to have the okay from him and to be good enough for him, but she didn't get that level. She was kind of go for the drugs to get to forget the reality and to build her own like way out and escape from the real life.
Okay, so um, I know that you don't drink, no?
No.
Do you see any issues of drug abuse or alcoholism in Gaza?
For drinking, we didn't see that because it's not allowed. But for the young generation, now there's some kind of, yes, issues with drugs, especially the medicine like the painkillers and something like that. There's some kids use this kind of also an escape from the depression, the frustration, and the situation that we're living in Gaza, for the siege and the buffer that is going on. So they kind of go for the drugs, which is kind of a problem, but yeah.
But it's there. I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't something that's just restricted to the United States, too, which I find to be interesting because, I mean, generally, I think that Americans think of Muslims as being very, very strict and stringent in their behavior, especially when it comes to drugs and alcohol and that kind of stuff.
Yes, for us as Muslim, we don't drink and we don't eat pork, and also we don't have drugs or we don't have like addiction. But still, I'm saying there is young people who really get in trouble with this kind of addiction with painkillers or kind of drugs and this stuff as a way from escaping, as like getting here into the U.S., but different realities.
Okay. No, and considering the comparison that you just made, I mean, would you prefer the situation that women are going through in the United States as opposed to Gaza, or do you really see it as being something that's comparable and the same? Just
Well, the way I see it is there's good things here and there's good things there. I can say that there's places perfect between both of them. I don't say that USA women rights here or the women's are the perfect in the perfect place, and the same for Gazan people as also is not the same and the kind of perfect way. So I think I'm finding myself in between. I have what I need from our culture there. That's good for me, and I also have it from here. So I'm kind of between.
okay. So you go either way with it.
Yes.
That's interesting. Okay.